Hello, happy Saturday. Welcome to the UC Berkeley virtual panel here, and we're going to get started with some great questions all about UC Berkeley. Today, my name is Kara, and I use the she, her, and hers pronouns. I'm from Valencia, California, which is down in SoCal. I just finished up my junior year, and I am studying Media Studies and Sociology. Outside of my academics, I'm involved in the UC Rally Committee. We fire cannons. This is a spirit group. We wave flags on the football field. It's a very exciting time. I'm also involved in Greek life. I'm in a social sorority. If you have any questions, definitely ask those questions. And I'm also involved in the Business Careers and Entertainment Club, or BCEC for short, where we bring in professionals from the entertainment industry to come talk about their lives. I'm also a lifeguard on campus and have an off-campus internship at a wine PR company. I will be your moderator today, so I'll be asking our panelists questions that come from you, the audience. So this is a 1-hour panel with all those questions. Just make sure you put them in the Q&A function because the chat function is disabled. There are lots of ambassadors on the back end who are ready to answer your questions as well. So maybe your question will be answered live, maybe you'll have a typed out answer, but we will try to get to all of your questions that you have. If you like more information, you can do visit.berkeley.edu to find more about Berkeley, and you can email tour@berkeley.edu if you have any questions that come up later after the tour, or if you did not get your question answered today. With that, I'll let all our panelists introduce themselves.
Hi, everybody. My name is Alyssa. I use the she, her pronouns, and I am originally from Salinas, California. So that's about 2 or 2.5 hours away from Berkeley. And it's the lettuce capital of the world. So that's pretty cool. I like to mention that. And I just finished my sophomore year here at Cal. So a little bittersweet, hitting that halfway point. And I'm majoring in society and the environment, which is a really cool cross section between humanity and how we interact with our natural and built environments. And I'm also considering a double major with urban studies through our College of Environmental Design. A little bit of my involvement on campus, just like Kara, I'm involved in the UC Rally Committee and Greek life. So we've had a lot of time to connect there, and we were actually roommates this past year. I'm also involved in leadership in the residence halls. So is basically student council for each individual residence hall. So if you want to know more about that, I'd love to talk about that. And I'm also just recently got involved in a pre-law fraternity.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to Berkeley. My name is Will, and my pronouns are he, him, and his. I'm joining you all from Mill Valley, California, which is just north of San Francisco, so still pretty close to Berkeley. I am a second year here, majoring in human geography, which I like to think of as the politics of place. I'm also getting minors in applied linguistics and Portuguese. Some of my involvement includes academic clubs like for geography and anthropology, Delta Phi Epsilon, which is an all-gender professional foreign service fraternity. So we host a lot of guest speakers and events and things like that. I've also participated in the language exchange program so that I could help someone learn English and they could help me with my Portuguese. I've volunteered at Reuse, our on-campus thrift store, and I've also run with the Cal Running Club. And something also to note is that before coming to Berkeley, I studied abroad for a year in Spain. And during my time here, I will be studying abroad 2 more times. So if you have any questions about any of these experiences, I'm happy to chat with you all about them.
Hi, everyone. My name is Lisa. I use the she, her, hers pronouns. I am currently not a sophomore. I am a rising junior now. I'm majoring in sustainable environmental design. I'm also planning to double minor in city planning and landscape architecture. I'm currently talking to you live from Monte, California, in my hometown. And I am currently involved with the Bear Talk blog, which is the campus ambassador ran student blog, where we talk about student life and everything. You can check that out at the end of this panel. And I'm a UC ambassador, as you can see. Something that's not written on here, I'm going to participate in a virtual global internship in Japan, which I'm really excited for. It's going to be at an architecture firm, so that's going to be awesome.
Thank you all. You all are doing so many interesting things here on campus. And since you just learned a little bit about us, we'd love to learn a little bit about you before we get started. So you'll see a poll popping up. They will be popping out throughout this presentation. If you could just answer those, that would be fantastic. And with that, we will get started on some questions. Let's see. Our first question today is going to be for Alyssa, and that's what's the professor-student relationship like, and how open are they to helping you?
Yeah, I love this question. I came from a really small high school. My graduating class was only 38 people, so like extremely tiny. So coming to Cal with like lecture classes of hundreds of people and just 40,000 student population, I was so intimidated. And I was like, oh, I'm never going to get to talk to any of my professors or get to know them whatsoever. They're going to be like celebrities. And they still are like celebrities to me because I respect them so much. And like they've done a lot of really cool intellectual work. And I'm like, wow, amazing. But they're actually so inclined to help you. And not only do they have those large lecture halls and they're teaching everybody the general information, but you also have discussion sections with a graduate student instructor. So we have like our grad schools on at Berkeley. And so those students are well trained and know what's going on. So they're able to help us out and guide us through like our coursework. So they both GSIs and professors offer office hours. So this is a perfect way to go in if you have need any extra help or anything and get to know your professor, get to know your GSI and really connect with them on that level. And I was actually able to go to office hours with my professor for one of my summer classes that I just started this past week yesterday. And I logged on and I thought so many people were going to be there because it's an asynchronous class. So the lectures are pre-recorded and everything. And you just watch them on your own time, do little post-lecture quizzes. So he has this 1 hour a day on Fridays where you can come and speak to him and make it more of an in-person connection, not in person, but more of a one-on-one connection. So I attended and I thought multiple people were going to be there. Then I log on and he's like, oh, hi, Alyssa. It seems like you're the only one here. So I was just able to chat one-on-one with him and really get to know what is going on and what the class is going to be all about and have that. And then more students came in and they were asking questions as well. So you're really able to form this amazing connection. And at the past class I've taken, I would go to my professor's office hours every Thursday after the lecture and just sit on Zoom with him. And I would listen to other students' questions, ask my own if I had any, but really just kind of make that connection and make my face or name familiar so that I was really putting a good impression. But you also can just learn a lot from them in general about like what their lives have been like.
Yeah, all the professors are like people too, so they have lives and they want to share what they're doing and their research. So it's really great to interact with them during office hours. And I found that virtually it's been a lot easier because all you have to do is click a Zoom link. You don't have to physically walk to their office, which is kind of lazy of me, but definitely something to consider. And just the results of our poll that we just launched to see we have lots of high school juniors joining us today, a couple sophomores and seniors and community college students. So welcome to all. Please ask any questions that you have in that Q&A. Our next question is for Will. What are language classes like? Can you talk about the language exchange program as well?
Yeah, fantastic. I love this question. Half of my classes are about language stuff. Um, I guess I'll first start by saying what I took, which before coming to Berkeley, I obviously knew English, but also learned Spanish. And we have an accelerated Portuguese class for Spanish speakers. So I ended up taking that and I've continued with Portuguese since. Last summer, I also took German. And then last fall, so not this last semester, but last fall, I also took Igbo, which is a language spoken in southern Nigeria. And I have friends who've taken everything from French, Old Norse, Russian, Spanish, Sanskrit, I mean, anything, Arabic, anything you can think of, really. We offer around 60 or more languages per semester, so it's really incredible, all the different options. The language exchange program was a great opportunity for me because I really liked my Portuguese class, but I wanted more practice, you know, talking to someone, learning about culture and things like that. And the language exchange program, I basically told them, hey, I speak English and I'd love to learn some more Portuguese. And they matched me up with someone who's now my friend. Her name is Isabella. And she's from Brazil and she's an international student. And so then we would meet up once a week, once every other week, and half the time speak in Portuguese, half the time speak in English. And it was a really fun way to learn like cultural differences. Like we talked about what Thanksgiving was and stuff like that. Or different slang terms that she would come across, which is really fun. And the language exchange program, it's pretty phenomenal because they offer around 30 different languages every semester. And so you're able to find a student or multiple students if you want to create a little group who's willing to really take the time to practice and speak with you, send you fun videos or movies or really anything. And I think that since Berkeley is such like a global, it's local, but it's also global in a sense and international, there really are so many opportunities to learn about a different culture, a different language, and things like that. I also know we have clubs for speaking Spanish, for speaking Portuguese, French. There are a bunch. I noticed there's a question about Russian specifically, and I'm almost certain that we have that. I have a lot of friends who've taken Russian classes and have loved it and are now going to study abroad in Russia. There really are so many different options, including less commonly taught languages, like how I took Igbo. We also offer Nahuatl or other indigenous languages as well. So it's a really phenomenal opportunity. I highly recommend, even if you don't want to become fluent or anything, it's just a great opportunity to learn.
Thank you so much, Will. That was a very insightful answer and makes me want to go study more languages. Our next question is for Lisa. What was your freshman experience like? Do you have any recommendations for the best places to study or hang out on campus?
Yeah, that's a great question. So my freshman experience was kind of, it was a learning process. I mean, in high school, I had the same schedule every single day, so everything was exactly the same to me. And so going into college where I got to choose my classes, choose my own schedule, it was kind of weird because now I have classes like every other day. And it was weird transitioning to it at first. I was kind of lost, but then I really learned how to organize my time because of it. And Google Calendar is your best friend. Definitely start now. I'm sure everyone here agrees with me. Yes, use Google Calendar. But learning about time management and learning about what sort of periods of time work best for you when it comes to studying or when it comes to, doing your homework and really adjusting to that was something that I learned and throughout my freshman experience and even now. I mean, I'm still learning. And so that's the most for what my freshman experience was like, learning how to transition. But as for the best place to study, I would say my favorite library is the Jean Grey Hargrove Music Library. It's pretty small, but like they have these nooks and corners that are just really nice and sweet for you to study in. And I just really love it overall. So that's the place I would recommend.
There are so many places to study on campus. I'm a big fan of studying outside. We have lots of picnic tables that you can sit at, and also people watch, which I really love too. And definitely second that Google Calendar. As a double major, I definitely have been planning out everything. I have lots of like class lists of things that I want to take and things that I need to take. So definitely planning is a learning experience just to discover more about yourself in college. Our next question is from the audience. I see that many of you guys have an extensive involvement in many different groups and clubs. Is it hard to balance the social life and the heavy workload of Berkeley? And was it easy to find these involvements? Were they competitive to get into? Alyssa, would you like to just kind of start on how you found everything?
Yeah. So we have this really nice opportunity when you're a new student. We have GBO, Golden Bear Orientation, and that introduces you to a lot of things just about Berkeley in general. But then we also have a specific part of GBO that's like you go and walk around to all of the different clubs and get to know them. And if you just are walking past like Sproul Plaza, which is like kind of the main plaza that every student walks through when they enter campus on their way to classes and everything, there's tables set up with students and clubs and organizations just handing out flyers, getting you to join their clubs. And it's really can be intimidating and it's a lot all at once at first. But over time, you'll really be able to be like, oh, actually, this one really interests me. I'm going to attend some of their info sessions or I'm going to attend their first general meeting. So that's kind of what I did for RallyCom specifically. When I saw them at Calapalooza, that's the event with all of the different clubs, I knew I wanted to do something at Cal that was really like spirited and was like a nice wholesome community. And so I saw that as a good opportunity. So I went up to them, I put my name on the email list, And then I went to some info sessions, some welcome week events, and over time, I really began to feel like home to me. So I would say RallyCom has been kind of my main support group as a club, and it's low stakes. You don't have to like apply or anything. Everyone's welcome. So definitely, if you're interested in that, ask in the Q&A. We can send you some links for more information and how to sign up for our interest form. That's just a special plug because I am our new vice chair of membership. So that also is another segue that you can really get involved in the leadership within all of the clubs you join. And so not all the clubs are like super just relaxed. Some are competitive. So there's pre-law or pre-med or different things like that that can be more competitive, and you will maybe have to apply to those. But basically, balancing social life and like work life can be very hard, like as a concept, but you'll be able to do it because you'll meet people in your clubs who are also in the same classes, doing the same majors, same things as you. So you'll be able to like go study together and have that connection in that way.
I could also add on to this question. I think it's really the most important thing about going to college is figuring out how to balance your schedule, because that's going to decide how well you do in your classes and the friends you make and things like that. And so it really needs to be individualized. I think that finding organizations you're interested in is super easy. They'll literally come up to you or email you and ask you to join and keep asking you to join. I think people are super welcoming, so that's not really an issue, especially at Berkeley where we have over 1,000 different student organizations, well over 1,000 actually, and various nonprofits in the community and other things like that. I think for me, I like having a balance in my clubs of things that are a little bit active, something that's a little bit professional, and something that's kind of just to hang out with people. So for example, Cal Running Club for me is a great way to get some exercise. It's open to everyone. I think we have some people who've graduated Berkeley and come back and run with us. My professional fraternity, I did have to apply to and did an interview. And I mean, that's the only organization out of more than 20 that I've tried that has been competitive to get into. So I think they're pretty rare, usually just like professional organizations or like consulting clubs, things like that. And then I also have Geography Club where I can just hang out with, maybe 5 or 10 other people who are majoring or taking the same classes and just hang out and talk every week, maybe play games and things like that. I've also volunteered at Reuse, so a great way to get involved in like the local Berkeley community. It's really up to you. You could spend all your time volunteering, you could spend all your time exercising. It's up to you, but definitely, like Alyssa mentioned, just making sure you find a space you feel welcome, which I'm sure you will, and then balancing your time. Super important, definitely.
Thank you. Those were great answers, really very insightful to how student life works at Berkeley. There's so much that you can get involved in, so many places where you can find your home and community, and I really love that about our school. Our next question from the audience is for Lisa. Do many students work on or off campus?
Yeah, just to add on to the previous question, I'm sorry, but like it's really all about knowing yourself and what you like and you don't like, especially if you're playing around with a lot of clubs. Do I like this? Do I not like this? Do I enjoy the stress of having all of this on my plate? Do I not like it? So it's about learning yourself. But to answer your question, yes, a lot of students do work on and off campus. There's a lot of students in work study. In fact, UC Berkeley is, I would say, the highest producer of work study opportunities out of all of the UC schools. And we also offer a lot of opportunities for students to work off campus, whether that be through like an internship or through actual job opportunities, after graduating and stuff like that. So yeah, I would say a large percentage of students do work.
Yeah, there's lots of different jobs. One of my friends works at a coffee shop on campus. Campus ambassadors is also something you can get involved with. I am a lifeguard. So I found out lots of students will work a little bit, maybe to earn some money to go to a concert in the city or to have work study to help pay for their education. So it's something that I find is common at Berkeley. Definitely not something to be ashamed of or anything like that. We are launching a very fun poll right now asking you what you're interested in, just to get to know a little bit more about classes or majors that you are thinking about. And with that, I would love for all of our panelists to answer what's been your favorite class at Berkeley. You can talk about one that is within your major, one that's outside of your major. So just what has been your favorite class? There's a lot of them out there.
I can start us off. This is actually, there's two classes in my mind right now that are kind of playing whatever back and forth. But I think my favorite class was called SBIM 155 AC. So it was all about agro-food ecosystems and the sociology regarding to that, which is really interesting to me because I come from kind of a farming background. My family is very involved with agriculture. So it was cool to like hear that from more of an academic perspective than like a personal what I see my family doing. So I was really able to get the history of things, and I was even able to do a project in which I made a cultural cookbook. So I had to interview my mom and I interviewed my grandma and I asked them, so I'm a quarter Portuguese, and so I wanted to focus on that part of my culture. So I asked them all these questions about their history, their upbringing, what life has been like, and how um, being involved in ag or being from Portugal, how our culture has affected us and like who I am now. So it was really nice to like reflect on that and just the entire class in general. This was last year, or last semester, so it was all virtual for me, but I felt so connected to everyone in the class. A lot of people in our large lecture would turn their cameras on. We would have discussion sections every week, and we were able to really discuss. And I was able to bring my perspectives that were very different from everyone else's who has not had such a connection to agriculture in the past. And I was able to really be very open-minded and hear from everybody else as well. So I would say that's my absolute favorite class. But another one that I would just like to mention briefly is it's Environmental Design 1, which is the introductory course to environmental design. And you get to do all of these things and really use kind of a different part of your brain and be very creative. So I took that last summer and I just fell in love with the College of Environmental Design. And that's what's encouraged me to perhaps double major with urban studies.
Yeah, I can go next. Also following up with an SBIM, Environmental Science Policy and Management class. This past semester, I took political ecology, which I'm going to have a very hard time explaining, but I think of it sort of like the political economy of the environment. So thinking of how people's connections to land historically and how we now like own land or it's public or other forms of land ownership and things like that, as well as how like economically things have been like gendered, sexed, racialized, things like that. And so really understanding like race, gender, and class and other aspects in regards to the environment, which for me was kind of new. Like I had never heard of queer ecologies, for example, or we would talk about things like how women used to dominate brewing and how different labor has been gendered and how that's changed over time and how that relates to environment, climate change, things like that. We covered so many different things, so it's hence why it's a little hard for me to like exactly say what it was. But I think a really interesting part of the class was having so many guest speakers. One of our last ones was on I think an expert on Flint, and so he testified, I think, to Congress as well about the Flint water crisis. We had such a variety of different academics and other visitors who would tell us about environmental justice or different land rights issues and things like that. And it just really made me totally reevaluate the way I think about what nature is, how it's considered, what wilderness is historically as well. And I think it really just blew my mind. Plus the teacher was so fascinating and I loved going to office hours. So it just made it a really fun experience. One other class I'll mention really quick, just because it was interesting and I didn't know you could do this in college, was my first semester. I took a freshman seminar, which I highly recommend. And this freshman seminar was just a camping trip. So we went on a 4-day camping trip down the California coast to talk about rocks and the coastline and stuff like that. We went to Pinnacles National Park, Point Lobos, San Francisco, a bunch of different places. And that counted as a class for me. And I just had no idea that courses in college could be like that. We offer like 6,000 or 7,000 courses every semester. So as you'll hear from me, Alyssa, Lisa, who've loved a lot of different classes, and Kara and every other Berkeley student, there's so many choices. So definitely look through your options. I'm sure you'll find lots of good things.
Yeah, I definitely agree. There are just so many classes to choose from. For me, my favorite class within my school, my college, the College of Environmental Design. It's not ED1, which is what Alyssa was mentioning, though I do understand what she means when she talks about it. My favorite class would definitely be Landscape Architecture 12. It's an intro to environmental sciences course within the lens of the College of Environmental Design. It's a really, really great class if anyone needs to fill a biological breath and they still need it covered. It's an amazing class because, you know, not only is the professor super knowledgeable about his field in landscape architecture, he brings in so many different people from all sorts of fields, from chemistry to engineering, to really talk about, you know, what they're doing, what the topic is about. And I think it's just amazing just seeing all these bright people talk about what they love. And it's definitely something that a class that really made me love CED even more. And it has inspired me to stay within this college. As for a class outside of CED, I would say I totally don't remember what the specific title of the course, but it's like food and the environment. And it's an online course. Funny enough, it's like completely made for an online environment. Like I didn't need to talk to a professor at all, unless I needed to, of course. But it was interesting. I took it for the American Cultures requirement, and I was amazed at how good this course was, even though it was this online thing. Like I didn't talk to a professor at all, but it basically talked about how to be healthy, first of all, but also about, you know, the interactions, how food is so connected to everyone and how it affects us in a more social justice context as well. And so that was something that was super fascinating, and I really enjoyed that class a lot.
There are so many classes to choose from, and I just like look through our class list. I'm like, wow, there's so many things I want to take. And I can't believe that I am almost a senior now and I'm wrapping up on having the opportunity to go to all these cool classes and take them. On that note, would you say that it's difficult to get the classes that you want? Is it like super easy when you look at the prerequisites? You just have to take those. Can you take other classes? Alyssa, do you want to touch on this?
Yeah, I'd love to. I think at first for me, when I had to pick my classes, I was really stressed out, like in as an incoming freshman, because I didn't know exactly what I wanted to major in. I applied as a physics major, and quickly over the summer before coming here, I was like, I don't know if that's actually what I want to do. So then I was undeclared. So I was looking through my courses and I was like, well, what if I want to do philosophy? What if I want to do political science? I don't know. So I was looking at all of these things and trying to figure out what classes I needed to at least start out with. So that was really stressful for me. But through, as an incoming student, you go through Golden Bear Advising. It's a virtual kind of course, and it teaches you everything you need to know, and it walks you through all of the steps, and it shows you all the breadth classes you need to take, and it's easy to start out with those just to get them out of the way. I took an introductory math course that I had to take. So that was great for like first semester. And then as you kind of progress as a student and get older and you're more focused on your major, those breadth classes will help you figure out what you want to do. That's how I kind of fell upon society and environment. But as you get narrowed down, you'll find classes that you're most interested in, and those class sizes will get smaller, which is really nice. But you can work with your advisor and make sure you have like a 4-year plan laid out and you know what classes you need to take, but it's not like clear cut. So you'll have people with the same major as you, but you'll have kind of very different experiences and you'll have taken different classes and you can get recommendations from different people. So Will recommended a class to me the other day when I was talking to him about geography that actually qualifies for one of my majors that I can take as like a requirement. So that's super exciting, and like the cross dynamic of different things. So I would say it can be difficult, and you can be on a wait list for certain classes, and you can be like, oh no, am I going to get in? But chances are you will probably get into the classes you need to take, and you don't really need to worry too much about it. And you'll be able to declare your major, do all of your requirements just fine, as long as you are planning ahead with everything, speaking to advisors, speaking with peers who are in your classes or doing the same major as you, older students who who have been through the same thing. I read at one point I was going to do environmental economics and policy, and so I had a graduating senior when I was a freshman who was majoring in that, and so she made this extensive doc for me with all of the classes she took and her friends took and her recommendations. So definitely using people to your resources and to your advantage, and picking your classes that way is what I advise.
Yeah, that's also a great part about joining clubs, because then you get to meet all of those students who have already taken some classes and maybe know like which professors are really awesome and can kind of help you figure all that out. But it definitely is overwhelming even now, like looking at all the classes, it's like, wow, there's so many different options. But there are a lot of resources that can help you narrow that down and find the classes that you need to take in order to be successful in your major. And you can also declare your major at pretty much any point. I have one of my friends who didn't declare a major until the second semester of his senior year. Maybe would not recommend doing that long of a wait, but there's no set, like you have to have your major declared before X time. So that's really great because you can still explore your interests, and you can add on a double major if you would like, which is something that I did. I took some classes in sociology and I found out that I really liked it, and then I declared that as my second major. So definitely finding lots of classes and talking to lots of different people will help you also find more of your interests and discover that. Lisa, can you talk about like finding how you found your minors and like what led you down that path? And Will, you can also talk about that too, since you have minors as well.
Yeah, I would love to talk about that. So initially, I wanted to double major within my college, but I realized that I couldn't do that after talking to my advisor. And so I was like, you know what, why don't I minor instead? And so honestly, minoring in at a university is pretty easy, or at least at UC Berkeley, it's pretty easy. You basically go on to that website for that minor and look at all of your course requirements. And they give you these series of courses and how many you need to take, which ones are required, and some that are just like, oh, here's a list, just pick some. And that's basically for most of our minors, that's exactly what you have to do. And that you don't have to like petition early on. After you complete those minors, you petition for it once you complete it. And so that's how you get those minors. And so the reason I'm double minoring is because I really enjoyed landscape architecture, and I really like city planning too. And I didn't want to like limit myself to just my major. And so I wanted to tack on other things. And so that's why I decided to double minor. And I realized there's a lot of like connections with my major as well. So it made it a lot easier to double minor. And so that's what I'm doing.
Yeah, I can add on as well. I think so. My first semester at Berkeley, I was like, oh, maybe I could just triple major, because I was realizing that stuff overlaps and you actually have a decent amount of time to finish these things. And I decided that just why, like there's not really a need to do that. And I think there's kind of some misconceptions about what a major and a minor is. It's really just a major is 8 or 9 courses and a minor is 5 courses. It doesn't matter if you're doing engineering or society and environment or theater, dance, and performance studies. They're all essentially that. They might say, oh, do 35 units, or my major says do 8 upper division classes, but they're all essentially the same thing because you are getting a degree from Berkeley and they need to have, some similarities. The differences will probably be with the prerequisites. So if you want to do, for example, a Spanish minor, you're going to have to take 4 or 5 Spanish classes first before you can get to the upper division courses, unless you already know it. Same with a lot of STEM, science, technology, engineering, and mathematics topics, where you'll need to take some physics and math. and biology, chemistry, maybe things like that as prerequisites for things like biology, your upper division. But upper division courses, it's 8 or 9 for a major and about 5 for a minor across anything. And I think you're going to end up fulfilling some of these classes regardless, just because there's overlap. For me, I was definitely considering double majoring. We have a create your own major program basically called ISF, Interdisciplinary Studies Field. And I was looking through that and was seriously considering it, but just for me, I wanted more flexibility. So for example, EBO did not count for a requirement for me, but I just wanted to take it. Or I took, some other classes that didn't count for a major requirement, but I just wanted to count for just to do it for fun. And so I think minors really allow you to still have that flexibility, but also, have the little words on your transcript that that's what you did. And kind of, in your mind, organize a topic as well around a few smaller classes. So I think it's a really great opportunity. Don't feel pressured to take on more and more. I have lots of friends who are doing one major or a major and a minor. It's really up to you and how many classes you want to take every semester. I'm still taking enough courses that I could easily double or triple major, but there's not really a point to it. So for me personally, that's what worked. Everyone has their own thing though. So yeah, just look through what options you like best.
Yeah, everyone takes their own path, and you can just take a couple classes that you like. You can take some classes and find out that you actually do not like that. That's okay too. So it's really a choose your own adventure whenever you get to college. Our next question is for Lisa. Are there internship opportunities abroad?
Yes, there are. I am personally taking one right now. Well, okay, let's start from the beginning. So we have UC Berkeley has study abroad, and I've always wanted to study abroad ever since I got to college, and even before college, that's what I plan to do. But of course, with the pandemic, now we have to do things abroad. And so this summer, UC Berkeley has been offering a lot of virtual global internships abroad. And so that's an amazing option for anyone who is interested in studying abroad, especially if you want to, and in a global environment. Obviously you're not going to be there anymore, it's virtual, but it still kind of makes up for what's happening right now. And so I personally am not doing it through UC Berkeley. I decided to do an independent program, which is something that you can totally do as well. If anything that UC Berkeley is offering doesn't fit what you want and your needs, you can always do an independent program and work with the study abroad office to work through that. And so I am doing mine through UC Davis's a virtual study abroad, because they're doing one on sustainability and technology. And so I wanted to see what's that about, and I really wanted to follow suit with that. And so I decided to go through that program instead. And the process honestly was a lot easier than I thought it was. I thought it was gonna be super complicated. I'm doing this at another school, but it's like within the UC system. So it all kind of works out well. And you just need to do some inter-campus applications, and it all just worked out really well for me. And now I'm going to do the virtual internship in Japan. Like I mentioned before, I probably also need to learn some Japanese just for the sake of, talking with people, maybe anyone other than my supervisor. That would be definitely useful. And I'm really excited. I do have to do some stuff in preparation for it, but nonetheless, I'm just super excited.
I'm so excited for you to have this amazing opportunity. Congrats. That's going to be very exciting. All right. What kind of academic and emotional support is offered at UC Berkeley, such as tutoring, someone to help you with writing papers, or any pre-professional advising? Alyssa, can you talk about these resources?
I would absolutely love to talk about these resources. One of my favorite things at Berkeley when I was my first 2 semesters actually was the Student Learning Center, or the SLC, which is located very conveniently in this area that's in my background, Lower Sproul. So this is a center where you can go and you can sit at a table of different people who are also taking the same class as you. So they have loads and loads of tables just set up. Then they have little like markers. So I was in Math 32 my first semester. So there was a Math 32 thing sitting there. That was a pre-calculus class. And I would just go and sit down, and I would sit next to people who were taking the same class as me, doing the same problem sets, and we work together and collaborate, ask each other questions. But there are also tutors roaming around who have taken these classes. They're well trained, they know what's going on, so they're able to really help you out. And so if you and your peers can't figure something out on your own, then you can ask the tutors, and they don't tell you the answer. You know, they really make you work hard and guide you to get there and make you think, which is a great learning process. While though it can be upsetting in the moment because you're like, I just want it to be done. It helps you know the information very well. And they also offer adjunct courses, which I took advantage of. So these are 1-unit courses you add on in addition to the class you're taking. And so it gives you a little bit more work to do, but it helps you stay on track and really know the information very well. So this is something that I highly recommend if you need any extra push. And they don't just have this for math, they have it for chemistry classes, economics, different things like that. They also have different study sessions in preparation for exams as well. So that's a lot of the academic support. And they also have a writing center, and I get a lot of emails from them. So if you ever need help with a paper and you want someone to review it or have multiple people review it, you can go to the SLC for that as well. And then for emotional support, we have the Counseling and Psychological Services Center, or CAPS. So this is a great resource that all students are able to take advantage of. If you ever have anything going on, you can just schedule like a phone call and then call the office, and then they'll set you up with a psychologist or a therapist to talk to. And this has been really great. You can go as many times as you need to. It's all been virtual, but they also do in person when we're able to be in person. So this is definitely something to take advantage of as well. And from there, from the university's like specific counselors, they can also direct you to counselors in the field and beyond at different offices in Berkeley or in the area. So great resource. Definitely, we have a lot of ways to support our students in whatever way needed.
Yeah, thank you. Berkeley definitely takes all of this because they know that it is a tough school and there's a lot of transitioning when you're going to college. So there's definitely a lot that they provide to help students out. Kind of changing gears here to talk a little bit about housing. We'd love to know where you're joining us from, just to get more of an idea. We got Northern California, SoCal, shout out to SoCal. Anyway, do you have any favorite memorable experiences in the dorms, and how would you describe the dorms at Berkeley? Lisa, can you talk about your dorm experience?
Yeah, my favorite dorm experience. So first of all, I found really great roommates. I love them. They're my greatest friends, at least in Berkeley. My favorite experience is definitely with them. One of my roommates was already gone. This was like Thanksgiving break, and one of them had already left home in SoCal. She was really close to me, which is really funny when we became roommates. But so she went home, and we decided, or my other roommate and her friend decided to come over, and we decided to watch High School Musical. All of them, because I've never seen them, and apparently it's like the epitome of your childhood experience. You need to watch them. And yeah, so we watched all of them, and we had a really fun time just like talking about all of the different scenes and just like kind of roasting it as an adult. I totally understand the love for it when you're young and you don't know what high school is like. But now that I'm a college student, I'm like, listen, there is no dancing in high school. It just is what it is. So I had so much fun just talking to them about that. And that's definitely one of my most favorite experiences. As for the general overall experience in dorms, it really ranges. Some floors, some buildings are a lot more interactive and social overall. It really depends on the type of people that are living there. I lived on a floor that was not as social as the other floors. We were generally pretty quiet, but overall, everyone's really friendly. Everyone's willing to make friends, and all these people are going through it together. We're going through finals, we're going through midterms all together. And it's still a nice communal experience, even though, you know, some of floors maybe not as social as others. It's still really easy to make friends. There are so many people that have made like gigantic friend groups through dorms, and I still continue to like be friends with some people at my dorm hall overall. So, you know, it's a great experience and definitely a great way to find a lot of friends and have a community overall.
Thank you. And a few more questions about the dorms. It's a very hot topic. Are the dorms co-ed and how are the RAs? Alyssa, can you talk about that for us?
Yeah, so most dorms are co-ed. However, we have a whole lot of different options for housing. So kind of whatever will fit your situation. We have units 1, 2, and 3, which are our traditional high-rise, um, double, triple situations, kind of what you see in the movies about college dorms. But then we also have suite style. So we have Foothill and Clark Kerr, which are both a little farther away from campus, but Foothill's in the hills and Clark Kerr is kind of like mission style. So they're both very pretty and like worth the view. And I have friends who have really enjoyed like the sweet atmosphere. But I personally lived in Blackwell, which is the newest dorm. So it's also high rise right next to Unit 3. They're all really fantastic. So most of those are co-ed. However, we do have Stern, which is located right next to Foothill, and that is an all-female identifying dorm. So if that's what you choose to live in, you can definitely take that opportunity. And a lot of the dorms just throughout campus as well have all-female identifying floors that you can choose to live on. We have different like floors who are specified for other things as well. So anything that you identify with. And RAs are fantastic. I love talking about my RA. His name was Matthew. He was an engineering and theater double major. And so right off the bat, I was like, wow, what a mix. You can really come to Berkeley and do anything you imagine. And he was always just there to inspire us and keep our spirits up. So the first few weeks of classes, he would write notes, like sticky notes for each of us and put them on our door and or like just draw a smiley face or be like, oh, keep it up. Like first day of class, you got this. So that was really sweet. And they just are always there to make these gestures and make you feel included at Cal. If you need anything at all, they're a resource to you, whether it's help with picking classes or help with your roommate if you're having a tough time, or just solving any problems that you may have and being kind of like a big sibling to you. One day he decided we were all kind of going through midterm season. That's a lot. So he got us all cupcakes and we had a dance party in the hallway. And so RAs are just always there to support you and be just a great resource.
Awesome. Thank you for that great overview. And a few more questions. How is the food at the dining halls? Do the dining halls accommodate any special dietary restrictions? Will, can you touch on this topic?
Yeah, so I actually loved the dining halls a lot more than most people. I think most people are like happy with it. But I like loved going to Crossroads. For some reason, just the space made me like relax and I don't know, have some time. It was fun talking with friends too, but I think part of the reason I liked it was even if there was something they were serving that I personally didn't like, there were so many options, so many different kinds of like fruits and vegetables, like whatever kinds of meats or grains, like really anything you want. There's vegetarian, vegan options every time. And the nice thing about being at a big school too is we have multiple dining halls. You can check their menus beforehand if there's something you really want to have. We also had this thing called late night. I think it's called late night, where at Crossroads, I can't remember the hours, but I remember my friends went there at around midnight usually. And we would get like pancakes or a hamburger, different things like that. And it was just fun having, a communal like food option like that. That being said, it's kind of hard to compare the dining halls to food in Berkeley because the food in Berkeley is just ridiculously good. But I personally really love the dining halls, and I was really happy that I could find whatever sort of food or dietary need that I needed every single time.
The vegan chicken tenders from Cafe 3 were delicious. I am not vegan, but they still tasted very good. And that just shows that there's so many different things you can try at Berkeley. And I second that on late night. It was a great experience to just take a quick study break and go get some chocolate chip pancakes. Those were very fun times, and I really hope that we get to experience that again soon. With that, there were so many incredible questions here today, but I have one last one for all of our panelists, and that is, what is your Berkeley story? What made you choose Berkeley, and what has led you to stay here and enjoy all of the experiences that you've had? Lisa, can you kick us off on that one?
Yes, I can definitely kick us off. Okay, so in high school, I wasn't really sure what I wanted to do. I had some ideas. I don't think anyone's really sure. First of all, no one's really sure. I wasn't really sure, but I had some ideas of what I wanted to do. I wanted to work in sustainability. I wanted to join the fight against climate change. I wanted to help in that sort of realm. And at first I wanted to do something maybe in engineering, and then I realized that I don't like physics. I don't like it at all. It haunts me to this day. Just don't. And so I was like, you know what, let me try something different. Let me explore a little bit. And it was junior year, looking through colleges, which ones should I apply to, which ones benefit me. And so of course, UC Berkeley was on that list, and I was looking through all of the different majors that they had, and I came across this college called the College of Environmental Design, and they had a really interesting major name called Sustainable Environmental Design, and it kind of, this major title and its description, it kind of just spoke to me overall. I think it, I don't know, it sort of represented exact everything I wanted to do without me knowing that this is what I wanted to do. And so I wanted to study sustainability. I wanted to, work on designing for the interactions between the built environment and people and nature, and just working towards building a more cohesive world overall. And that's what I wanted to do. And I love that this is what the major really presented to me. And, at first I was kind of wary because this is a new major, and it's kind of open-ended, and there's no direct path to like, oh, this is exactly what you're gonna do after college. So I was kind of wary about it, but I applied to this college with this major, and I don't know, it just felt like there was no other place that felt right, and there was no other major and no other school that felt right. And so I just knowing that UC Berkeley has amazing academics and amazing alumni and faculty overall, just I felt like they had my back, and I was able to study whatever I wanted to study, even though, I'm scared, it's open-ended. They're going to help me through this. And yeah, no other place felt right. So I'm here now.
I can go next. I definitely relate to the belonging and excellence that Lisa had mentioned. I think for me, Berkeley has really been an experience where I've been surprised and inspired. I think before, when I was in high school and applied and eventually got in off of the wait list, even though I'm in the Bay Area, somehow I did not know that much about Berkeley. And I went to Cal Day, which is our big open house you might have heard of. Happens once a year in the spring. This year was virtual for a week, which was great. And I got an ultrasound of my tongue from the linguistics lab to see how I talk. I got to see, I think, an indigenous Peruvian dance. I got to see just so many interesting things that I didn't even know you could have ultrasounds of your tongue, things like that, that I was just kind of blown away and got really excited to be coming to such a dynamic and engaging and, cooperative place. Then I went to Spain for a year, which I did not plan very far in advance, but ended up happening, and then came back to Berkeley. I looked through so many different majors. I went to 10 major advisors my first semester. I just was thinking, I don't know what to do, but I like a lot of things, and ended up discovering geography this past year, which again, something I had no idea even existed. It wasn't offered at my high school or anything like that. And I've really come to love the field, and my professors they really challenged me to think differently about the world. I didn't know professional fraternities existed, let alone all gender ones, which is fantastic. I mean, I think that really every semester I come away finding professors or peers or like maybe a reading or a video that just completely changes the way I think about the world, blows my mind, and just really makes me feel connected to Berkeley, but also wanting to really challenge myself and others to think differently about how our world works and reimagine a more just world. And I've really valued that experience and knowing that I have 2 more years here that I probably can't really plan for entirely, which is kind of what I love about it. I just got a scholarship to go to Portugal in the summer of next year. So Berkeley's paying for that, which is great. Again, another thing, I didn't know I would be taking Portuguese. And so I think I really value knowing that when I graduate from Berkeley, there are going to be some really phenomenal opportunities that I'm going to be able to take advantage of having been a student here. And although I might not know what that is right now, I'm just so excited to perpetually be surprised and feel that belonging all over again and feel inspired again.
Yay, that was really nice, Will. Congrats on your internship or your study abroad. My Berkeley story, Berkeley was not at all on my radar. I really wanted to just like flee as far away from home as possible. So I wanted to go to Boston, across the country, just get away. But then I got into Berkeley. I had applied just kind of like, why not? And then I got my admissions letter and I saw the confetti coming down and I was like, this is not real. They're actually just like playing with me right now. They made a mistake. But of course, in that moment, I immediately was like, okay, I don't know if I'm going to like Berkeley, but I kind of just knew that that's where I would end up, whether I liked it or not, because it was like the best school I got into. So I went to Cal Day, like Will mentioned, and I was sitting there with my mom and we were listening to Chancellor Christ's opening speech. And my mom leaned over to me and she was like, this is it, Alyssa. And I was actually talking to her about this the other day. And she was like, I don't know what it was, but in that moment, I just knew like you belonged here. But I wasn't convinced. I wasn't convinced until I came to Berkeley. The entire summer leading up, I was so anxious and I was like, I still don't know if I like it. I'm questioning it. Like I'd already committed. There was no turning back. But what if I didn't like it? But then this is really random, but I got a free pair of shoes in the mail from Vans and I was like, I didn't order these. And then I opened them and they were like these high tops that are blue with like a yellow or a gold stripe through them. And I was like, this is bizarre. But apparently they just like send out free shoes if you're like part of their rewards program sometimes. And they were Berkeley colors. And I was like, this is a sign. And I was like, this is insane. Like it's meant to be. So of course, then I was like, okay, I got to go to Berkeley. Then once I came here, I immediately, like, I was so nervous, but I found my community. I found the people who made this place home in the rally committee, in my sorority, in all these different clubs and the organizations I got involved with. I just felt like this was home. I was best friends with my roommate. And truly, if there was anything I could change about Berkeley, it would just be that stigma or the things that like whatever deterred me at first that I was so convinced that I wouldn't like it, because it's such a beautiful place and it truly is the best of both worlds in the sense that it's a city and you get to explore and it's very unique in that way. There's also so much nature around it and it's just the place that I always want to be and I love it here.
Thank you all so much for your stories. I feel so inspired right now. That was incredible. I'm so glad that all of you have found your home here in your own communities. And I hope that this inspired all of you watching to apply and to find your home. Maybe it's in UC Berkeley. Fingers crossed for you. With that, that is the end of our panel here today. I have a couple of resources for you. You can check out our UVisit tour, which is basically a Google Maps 360 view kind of thing where you can click on different buildings and hear some professors and students talk. You can follow us on social media at Visit UC Berkeley to see some cool pictures of what's happening on our campus. If you didn't have your question answered today, or if you have more questions pop up later, you can email tour@berkeley.edu and a student ambassador, just like one of us, will answer your question. You can also look at the Bear Talk blog, which Lisa writes for, and see some more Berkeley stories like the ones that were just shared today. And there are other recorded virtual panels available on our YouTube channel, along with tours and engineering bits. If you can check those out for even more information. And you can see how we're celebrating 150 years of women being admitted to Berkeley. It's a really exciting landmark for sure. And you can look at the admissions presentation at berkeley.edu/visit. So you can get some more of the admissions side if that is something you would like to pursue. And finally, you can find some more virtual visits and engineering visits at the same place where you registered for this panel at visit.berkeley.edu. And those are the resources I have for you. And with that, I just want to say a great big thank you to all of you for joining us here today and taking an hour out of your day. I hope you enjoyed hearing from our panelists. And I would like to send you off with a great big Go Bears on 3, because that is something that basically unites all of us. You're a golden bear and you will forever be a golden bear. So go Bears on 3. 1, 2, 3.
Go
Go
Bears!
Bears!
Have a great day.